So let's get started. We are gonna start lying down. So make your way to your back. I'm gonna slow myself down and remember how to mute you all. I know, I need some breaths. Okay. That's kind of how I am when I don't do yoga. I go 10 miles a minute. So we're gonna start on our back. So make your way down, bend your knees, line up your heels with your sits bones, and then maybe let your knees come towards each other. And if you want to, you can like heel toe your feet out a little bit if that's more comfortable to have your knees together. So your knees are just resting towards each other, however is comfortable for you. So you can adjust the feet as needed, and then bring the hands to the belly. So we all need to transition our heart, our minds, our bodies to our yoga time. So when you're ready, take a deep breath in through your nose. Feel your belly expand up towards the ceiling, out towards the side walls. And then either sigh or blow like you're blowing a candle flame to make it flicker out to your mouth. And as you exhale, just feel how your belly goes back to its neutral position. And then do that like 4 or 5 more times. Breathing in through the nose, letting the belly expand, and then out through the mouth, either sighing or blowing to make a candle flame flicker. And then when you're ready, take your knees apart and just start rocking the knees. Again, you can adjust the feet, narrow, kind of medium or really wide. And if you find a spot that's kind of sticky, you can pause there and take some breaths. So I think the transition from summer to fall is like the best part of the year. And you don't have to agree with me, but I always, I'm like, yeah, summer is my favorite season. And then we get into this time, I'm like, maybe fall is my favorite season. And I like have this battle. I think like September is my favorite season, especially here in Spokane, because you get these like super hot days that remind you like, yep, summer is close to where you are. But then you also have these like crisp mornings and the leaves are already changing. And you're like, oh, but fall is here too. And you're kind of like in the in-between. And sometimes I feel like our yoga mat is the in-between. We get to come here, we get this like solace, we get this quiet, we get to slow down. And then we get to decide what we do with that, right? So it can be like a standalone time that just like nourishes your body and nourishes your heart and nourishes your mind. But hopefully it's powerful enough to move beyond this hour. And I know I've been talking about that a lot, so I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record. Let's bring our knees up, line up your heels to your sits bones, cross your right leg over. We're not gonna lift the left leg into the air right now. So even though your hip might be like, oh yeah, stretch me, we'll get there. So we're just gonna pause here for a moment and gently press the knee away from the body. So you can do that by using your hand on your thigh if you wanna give a little extra press, or you can just use the strength of your leg. Flexing the right foot. So we're creating space in the front of the hip here. And then we're gonna let go, and if the knee comes back towards your body, that's okay. And then we're gonna gently rock our legs over to the left. So the right leg was crossed, so we're coming into a twist here, a very gentle twist. Bring the arms into cactus arms. So if that's uncomfortable or you really want something else, you can adjust. And then just take a moment to let the body sink in. You can take some more of those deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, or you can just breathe deeply in through the nose, out through the nose. So your right foot is probably on the ground. If it's not, if it's hovering above the ground, that's okay. But most bodies can have this twist happen so that the right foot is on the ground. So then just play with your left hand coming to the right knee, or just above the right knee on the thigh, and maybe gently, gently, gently rocking the knee towards the body. So hopefully, my hips are so sore right now. So I feel it, but hopefully eventually you'll feel that stretch that you sometimes get in figure 4. And if this isn't working for your body, you can choose to do something else. You can just go into a deeper supine spinal twist. But I'm hoping you're feeling it in your right hip. So right hand is either outstretched or in cactus arm. Left hand is helping that leg pull towards the body or towards the ground, whichever one you want to think about. And feeling a stretch in the hip or maybe somewhere else in the leg. Right foot is still planted on the ground if your body can do that. And then gently allow your right hand to let your, left hand to let your knee go back to where it was. Bring your feet and legs back to neutral. So they're still crossed in figure 4. And now we're gonna lift the left leg if your body has space to do so. And we're gonna get into that hip. So we've kind of done a pre-stretch. It's because I'm super sore, guys. So then once you get into figure 4, it's your choice. You can rock, you can extend the leg, you can let that leg dangle, the left leg, you can roll out your ankle both directions. Whatever you want to get from figure 4 today. Keep your breath going. And then eventually let your left leg drift back down to the mat, uncross the right leg. Let's do a couple knee rocks. And then bring your knees back to center, line up your heels, tuck your heels closer to your sits bones if you have room to do so. Hands next to hips. Prepping for bridge. So on our inhale, we're gonna press the low back onto the mat. And then the exhale, release. We're gonna do that 4 more times. Inhale, press the low back on the mat. Feel your legs engage. Feel the front of your core engage. Exhale, relax. Inhale, press the back onto the mat. You can hold the breath if you want to and make that press a little bit longer to work the core. Exhale, release. Inhale, press. Exhale, release. This time, inhale, press, and then start to lift the hips. And then on the exhale, come back down. So flowing bridge. Inhale, press the back, lift the hips, climb up to your bridge. And then exhale, vertebrae by vertebrae, come back down. And then let the low back move away from the mat as much as it wants. Inhale, press it back towards the mat. Lift the hips. Exhale, come down. One more time. Inhale, press the low back onto the mat, then lift the hips. Option to hold if you want to, or you can come back down right away. If you chose to come back down, find something to do for a few breaths, maybe knee rocks, maybe your body is calling for knees into chest. If you're holding bridge, we'll hold for another couple breaths and then we'll come back together. So freedom of movement here. If you're in bridge, use your next exhale to gently and slowly come down vertebrae by vertebrae. And then your choice for 2 breaths to move your body how you need to. You can move your arms if you need to. You can pull the knees into the chest. You can knee rock. And then soon realign, so heels are in line with sits bones. Left leg crosses over right, figure 4. Remember, we're gonna pause here, take the left hand to the left thigh and maybe gently encourage the knee to move away from the body. And then let that hand come away from the thigh. Knee might move back towards the body, that's okay. And then let's take the legs over to the right. Arms into cactus arms. Oh my gosh, my left hip is so tight, my foot doesn't even want to come down to the ground, guys. So if you're there with me, just know that sometimes yoga teachers are tight too. And take a few breaths. And then when you feel ready, right hand reaches towards left knee / thigh. And then gently pulls towards the body, towards the earth. Left foot stays planted, just enough to get that nice stretch in the hip or wherever it is that you feel it. And then let the hand go. You can let the knee go back to its normal position. Rock the legs back up to center. And now we're going to come into our figure 4, whatever that looks like for you. Lots of options. Listening to our bodies, making the choices that they need right now. One of the things that I've been thinking a lot about is self-care, and how self-care is this careful balance between indulgence and, oh my gosh, what is the other word that I want to say? Chaos. Someone said chaos. Well, that works too. I was gonna, what is the word when you're like super strict with yourself? Or when you like are really good at following all the rules? Yes, that's close.
Sounds like as how many syllables?
I don't know. If I knew, I would tell you. So that, like, being really strict with yourself is actually a form of self-care, right? Because if you completely indulge, if you eat the whole bag of cookies, that's actually going to make you feel terrible. And so that's not a form of self-care. You're making yourself feel worse, emotionally and probably physically, right? Both. So eating one cookie is a form of self-care. You're allowing yourself to like treat yourself, but you're being strict and like regimented, like you said, so that you are really taking care of yourself. So exercise is a form of self-care, and we don't think about that, but it's so good for your body. And so I feel like self-care is this balance, like, yes, okay, maybe I'm gonna take a bubble bath, but I am also going to cook this really healthy dinner, right? Yes, I'm gonna maybe eat a cookie because whatever, the meeting I just left was terrible, but then I'm also gonna go on a hard half an hour walk. So it's this balance, and I think sometimes when people think about self-care these days, they think only about the indulgence part, the only thinking about being kind to yourself, and like, you know, forcing yourself to exercise is actually being kind because you're listening to what your body needs. All right, let's come back to center. Your choice about rocking knees or pulling knees into the chest. I haven't actually directed that, so knees into the chest might be a good choice. But if you're choosing something else, that's okay. Eventually, we are going to bring knees into the chest, and we're going to either rock onto our sides and come up to seated, or you can rock front and back along the spine. I always love that one, so that you get this nice massage. You guys, my shirt is so appropriate, I didn't even know it. It says motherhood, the perfect mix of chaos and love. I think that's just life, right? The perfect mix of chaos and love.
I had 2 cookies before I came.
That's okay. 2 cookies is okay, as long as they're not this big. Big nudes, oh my gosh. You can have 4 of those. My yoga teacher gave me permission. All right. Let's notice how our head feels now that we're sitting upright. Let's notice how our neck feels, how our shoulders feel, how our spine feels, how our hips feel, and how our legs feel, and how does our heart feel in this moment. And then let's sweep our arms up. And exhale over to the right. Pause for a breath. And then inhale to center. Exhale to the left. If your breathing is off of mine, that's okay. On your next inhale, back to center, and then do what you need to do with these side bends. If you want them faster, always inhale to center, and exhale to the next side. If you want them slower, take a breath or two on each side. Give your body time to stretch. And then when you've done both sides evenly, let your hands drift down to the mat. And we're gonna extend our legs out to a V. Feet flexed, toes pointing up to the ceiling as much as possible. And if this is a hard way to sit for you, you can bend the knees a little bit. Or of course you can bring the feet closer together, right? So knees bent, feet a little closer together. You just wanna make sure you're not leaning back on your sits bones and caving in the back. So you wanna be right in the middle of your sits bones. We're gonna inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, lean towards your legs. So we're not going side to side the way we were. If you have space, you can bring your arm in front of your leg. And we're just gonna pause here. You're gonna reach your hand to the side wall, or you can let your arm kind of curve. So your hand is reaching towards your toes. And then inhale when you're ready. You can use that right hand to help push you up, and then it joins. Exhale towards your other leg. Good. So once again, the side, it's not quite a side bend, right? Because we're going forward a little towards our leg. And then again, if you have space to drop that arm in front, trying to keep the shoulders away from the ears. Deep breaths. Hopefully you feel some stretch in the leg, maybe inner thigh, maybe hamstring, maybe in the back of the knee, maybe your calf if your calves are tight today. And then inhale towards center, and then exhale forward. So your hands can land. And then as you wish, you can walk your hands forward, or you can just let the elbows come down, or maybe it all stays up, but let the neck hang loosely. So the neck is loose, so the head is hanging loosely too. And you can gently sway side to side. If you want some motion, or if you want some stillness, you can stay right in the forward fold. Think about flexing those feet. Just be gentle because that gets into the calf really quickly. And then eventually, when you're ready, on your next exhale, walk the hands towards the body and roll up through the spine. Take your hands underneath the knees. Help the knees bend and come together, feet together. Cobbler's pose. Baddha Konasana. I almost never do this pose. I always do it lying down. It's one of my favorite on my back poses. So you can stay right where you are, or you can start coming forward. So if you come forward, you can bring the hands to the feet, you can bring the hands out, you can keep the arms bent and press the knees down with your elbows. It's up to you. Or you can just sit tall. Take a few deep inhales and exhales. Breathing into the back body. And then if you are folded forward, start to roll up once again. Take the hands to the outside of the knees, help them come together. Don't use those inner thighs. And then extend the legs and shake it out. Roll out the feet. Actually, ankles. You can flex the feet and point the feet. Flex, point, flex, point. Notice when you flex your feet, you're using those muscles on the front of your legs. And those are the muscles that like really hurt when you say that you have shin splints. If you run when you're not used to running. Let's bring the legs back in. We're gonna do a little arm stretching. So left arm across the body, right hand helps it come across. Try to keep that shoulder away from the ear, so don't let it creep up. Keep it away as you pull that arm gently across the body. Oh. I'll think of that word that means like rigid and regimented and whatever. I'll post it because I'm sure it won't come to me during class.
Measure austerity.
I know, you guys are so good at throwing out words.
Discipline.
Discipline, yes! Yes, thank you! That is what I wanted. It's a balance between, what's the other word I said? Indulgence and self-discipline. Yes, perfect. That's my word. Good job, Jenny. All right, let's take that same arm up and behind the head. So this is kind of like half of our eagle arms, but this time we're gonna do what I call the volleyball stretch. We're gonna hold the elbow, and we're gonna try to keep our head up as much as possible. So I know my head like pushes on my arm, because I have some tightness in my shoulder. So just as much as possible, my right arm actually like is resting on my head because my left arm wants to push it forward, but I'm trying to keep my head up as much as possible. Oh, some of you have like flexible shoulders. Yeah. Breathing, don't forget to breathe. And then gently let go. Shake it out. And then other side. So right arm comes across, keep that right shoulder down. And then let's swing it around. One side is always better than the other, especially in this type of stretch. It actually has a lot to do with your right-handedness or left-handedness, which I always find interesting. And then let's let go, shake it out one more time. And then we're gonna do a prep pose for something we're gonna do in just a little bit. So we're gonna bring our arms around the back. We're gonna clasp the hands. We're gonna extend the arms as much as possible so they might not straighten, but we're gonna keep our arms clasped, and then we're gonna lift our arms and allow our arms to push us forward. So it depends on your body what's gonna stop you. It might be your arms, or it might be your hips. But you're gonna come forward as much as possible. So we're gonna do this in a bunch of different poses. So notice right now which thumb is on top. My hands are like slipping apart, so no thumb is on top. But my right hand would have my thumb on top right now. So let's gently come back up, bend the elbows, switch so your other thumb's on top. So we just switched our clasp. Again, straighten the arms as much as possible. It might not be all the way. And then start to lift your arms and allow that to guide you forward. So you're not leaning forward first and then lifting the arms. You're lifting the arms and only going forward as high as your arms can guide you. Try to release the neck. And then come back up. Oh, and shake it out. So we're gonna bring our legs around into table. We're gonna do some cat-cows on our own. So, of course, cow is breathing in. That's belly down towards the mat, head is closed. Cat is the exhale. So go ahead and do cat and cow on your own. Oh man, we must have started late because our time is going quickly. And then add in anything you want. Hip rocks, or Komodo dragon, if you take Tamara's classes and know what that is, or sea curves, or circular cat-cow, whatever tabletop motion you need and want. And then we're gonna sit our sits bones back towards our heels, but we're gonna lift our bodies up a little bit. So this is actually like a form of hero's pose. And so if hero's pose doesn't work for you, you might have to figure out what you can do. We're gonna take those arms back behind and stretch them out as much as possible. And then we're gonna let the arms guide us into child's pose. So the hips can lift, of course, a little bit. The head needs to gently come down to the mat. And then the arms lift behind you. Take a few breaths. Notice which thumb is on top. And then let the arms start to come down before you lift the body. Switch the grasp. And then when you're ready, again, straighten the arms. Exhale, lift the arms, let the arms guide you down. And eventually the head comes down. So if in child's pose, your head usually doesn't meet the mat, you might want to lift your hips a little bit more so that your head does. Or any other adjustment you need to do. Just trying to get this stretch through the shoulders and arms. And then gently let the arms come down, elbows bend, you might even release your clasp, and then bring your body back up. Shake out into the arms. Come back to table, and we're gonna bring the front leg forward into a lunge. So this is totally optional. You can just stay in the lunge if you want to. We're not gonna get up all the way into warrior one. So you could kind of think of this as like the grounded warrior one. So from warrior one, you sometimes go into humble warrior. So you can stay right here, and this can be your stretch. Or maybe you can bring your hands up to your thighs, or your thigh, I guess one thigh is forward. And maybe you stay here. Maybe you reach the hands behind, clasp. Totally optional, you guys. You do not have to do this. Reach your arms back, and maybe the arms guide you into a humble lunge. And then let the arms come back down towards the back if you were in the lunge. Bring the body back up, hands come forward. You should remember which thumb was on top, if you can. My right one always goes on top first. If your hands are on your thighs, bring your hands back down. Let's come into what's called half split. So walk your hands back. I'm up on my fingertips. If you have blocks and need them, you can use them here. So front leg is straight, front toes are lifting. You're breathing deeply. And then walk the hands forward, bending into that front knee, planting the front foot. You don't have to go all the way into the lunge, just find a spot where your hands can support you to bring that right leg back. Wiggle it out. Anything you need. Here in table. And then eventually bring your left foot forward. However you need to do that. So once again, you can pause right here and stay in this lunge stretch. You can come to the next stage and bring the hands onto the thigh, and you can just stay right here. Breathing deeply, feeling the openness in your right front hip flexor. Or you can bring the hands to the back, try to put the other thumb on top, straighten those arms, lift the hands to come into a humble lunge. Take a few breaths wherever you are. And then if you're in the humble lunge, bring the hands towards the back, lift the body, and then everyone hands down to the mat. Let's sit back a little bit for half split, walking the hands and the hips back. Toes reaching up towards the ceiling as much as possible. It gets intense. And then walk forward just enough so that you can plant your hands and pull that left leg back. And then let's take a child's pose. Knees can be wide, knees can be narrow. And then if you want, you can bring, again, the hands behind the back and just let them rest. Or you can bring the hands next to the hips and come into like what is really a full child's pose. Or you can extend the hands up behind the back. Come up out of child's pose, shift your hips one direction, bring the feet out in front of you, realign yourself on your mat so your hips are in the middle, bend the legs, maybe hands behind the legs, maybe hands out if you want some extra core work. but eventually rolling down slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, onto your back, knees into the chest, rocking side to side. And then bring both knees to center. You can bring them to a 90-degree angle, or you can bring them a little bit more tucked. Left hand goes out to a T, right hand brings the knees over to the right. Our last pose before Shavasana, supine spinal twist. Hopefully the whole class has been calming, but if you have any busyness in your mind left still, try to let it seep away. Imagine that busyness, whatever it might be, whether it's planning for the future or remembering the past, or just fretting or stressing. I always imagine it as like a shape, and then the shape kind of becomes a liquid, and the liquid just flows out of the back of my head onto my mat and flows off my mat. So it doesn't stay with me, it doesn't stay with my mat, it just gets deposited. Use your core strength to bring your knees to the center. If you need some wiggles in between sides, do your wiggles. And then eventually right hand out to a T, left hand guides the knees over to the left. Sorry, I didn't say this on the other side. Gaze can stay up or it can turn to the right here. Whatever feels best for your neck. Use your core strength to come back to center. So we do have 2 minutes to do yogi playtime. So whatever it is that you want more of, maybe it's some bridges, maybe it's some core work, maybe it's some stretches with the legs in the air, maybe it's knees and arms rocking, maybe it's a happy baby. Warn you when you need to switch sides, or just if you want to switch poses when we're about halfway through. So switch sides or switch poses. And then come back to center. If you need any last movement, take it, and then eventually bring your heels down the mat, about mat width. Allow your hips to relax, your arms to go wherever they need to, but traditionally a little bit far away from the torso, so they're not touching. Shoulder blades gently tucked under the body. Maybe do a body scan, check in all the way from your head down to your feet. Try to find any last muscles that are still holding on and try to let them go. They don't need to do any work. Let your breath come and go as it pleases. And take this time just for you. Begin to deepen your breath. Slowly waking yourself from your rest. Bending your knees, pressing into your feet to release your low back. Starting to get some movement into your body. And eventually rolling over onto one side to press yourself up. Let's roll out the shoulders once you're up in a seated position. Roll them back and forward. You can do them opposite or at the same time. And let's do 3 sweeps. Inhale, arms up, and then turn palms down. Exhale. Turn palms up, inhale, and exhale. Last one, palms up, inhale. This time, palms together, exhale. Bring hands to heart center. The light in me sees and honors the light in each of you. Namaste. Namaste.